that we came to this court with very high expectations, expecting that the judges of Uganda will stand above cultural prejudice and bigotry and make history. Unfortunately, the court, in its wisdom, has failed to stand beyond and above our cultural prejudices and our bigotry and has gone with the public sentiment. But what we have witnessed in court is what I would call a temporary reversal in an overall strategic battle or strategic war against cultural bigotry and prejudice. So we are going to appeal to the Supreme Court, not for striking down different components of this law, but for overturning this law in its entirety. The judgment that was read today, I would compare it to the judgment in the case of Dred Scott in 1857 in the United States. A black man went to the US Supreme Court asking to be freed from slavery. The court at that time, reflecting white supremacy and bigotry, ruled that Dred Scott was a property and that under American Constitution, every American citizen was entitled to a right to property. A slave was like a horse, a chair, or a goat that you owned in your house. The same Supreme Court sat 100 years later and struck down its own judgment. I am hoping that it will not take Uganda 100 years to strike down Dred Scott 002, which was delivered in 2024. The other one was actually March 1857. This is April 2004. So we are going to go to the Supreme Court, and I have full confidence that the judges of the Supreme Court will stand above our cultural bigotry. They will stand above our prejudices, our cultural prejudices, and protect the rights of homosexuals to live their lives as they wish. Let me give an example as a journalist. I don't need to be a lawyer to say the current law says that if you defend homosexuality, you have committed a crime. I am a journalist. So right now, under the law, I have committed a crime to say that homosexuals should be given their rights, because that can be construed to be promoting homosexuality. No. But that is what the court has said. So now, we will go to the Supreme Court and check on that. Is that really accepted? Two, to say that a human being, because they are homosexual, should be denied the right to housing is absurd. That we will go to the Supreme Court because I have faith that the Supreme Court of Uganda cannot say that in a debate on sexuality, only one view is constitutional, the view of saying homosexuals are evil and should be hanged. That anyone who says that they're human beings whose rights should be respected is committing a crime. The second thing, I was so shocked that the Constitutional Court of Uganda, the judges, said that this law was made to protect children. In the 2002 police report, there were 13,000 cases of child abuse reported in Uganda. 13,000. Only 300 were of men molesting boys. 12,700 were of men molesting little girls. If our parliament is serious about protecting children, we need to protect 98% of the girls who are being violated by heterosexual men, even before we think of the two, even though we must think also about the 2% who are violated by homosexual men. So the biggest scourge of child abuse in Uganda is not homosexuality, it is actually heterosexuality. The second thing, let me come to the second point I was making. The second point, which I found absurd, is that the Constitutional Court of Uganda, led by one of the greatest legal minds, Richard Butera, with my friend Gash on that court, with Kiriawire, whom I saw there, that they could make a judgment that there is recruitment in schools. This country, let me tell you, has ISO, has ESO, has CMI, has Police Special Branch, has Crime Special Intelligence, has CID. It has all arms. Even State House has its own intelligence organization. Not once has one human being been arrested for recruiting children into homosexuality. This was a court judging on the basis of prejudice and ignorance. If there was a massive campaign to recruit children in schools into homosexuality, how come we have not had one person, one human being, arrested, paraded before the courts or before the press for this recruitment? How can recruitment have been taking place for the last 17 years and not a single person has been shown? So I was so shocked that our judges could judge that way. I don't know the reasons they did so, but I'm really disappointed. So because of these reasons, we shall go to the Supreme Court and challenge this law. We will even challenge it in the highest court on earth, or in the universe, that is before God. Now, folks, for striking down certain provisions of the law, like the law on health, but I felt the judges were not even strong enough on that. If you say if a person has a medical problem and is homosexual, to deny him health is absurd. So I congratulate and salute the judges for doing that. This is a message to Western human rights organizations and Western embassies and Western governments. This is a Ugandan struggle, not yours. We really, really appreciate your solidarity, but we kindly request you to keep out of this business. Because when you come in, you distort the debate. Then Ugandans and other bigots begin thinking that this is something the Western world is trying to impose on Uganda. So if you can keep out of our debate, our local debate, if you can keep quiet, if you can express your solidarity silently, quietly, and in your heart, we will be very happy. We don't need any fifth Calvary from any country, from the United States, from Australia, from Europe. We don't need anything. Banning Ugandan homophobes from traveling to your countries. Stop imposing sanctions. Because when you do those things, you are simply telling the Ugandan public that this is not a Ugandan issue, it's a Western issue, that it is the Western countries trying to impose, using sanctions, using cutting aid, using threats, using blackmail, trying to impose a different cultural practice on our society. Please, I beg you kindly.
If you say you cannot practice your profession, what is there to say you have a right to health? I think that it is an attempt at the court to throw some positive news in what is really a very bad judgment. As a lawyer, you come to court expecting the court to apply the law. You come to court expecting the court to rise above populist sentiments in the public. Unfortunately, on this occasion, this court played to public sentiments by quoting public sentiments, by quoting unverified, unsubstantiated allegations of recruitment of children into homosexuality. To that extent, the court was disappointing. But nonetheless, the court's decision must be respected, even if, like in this case, we disagree with it. I think that we will look at the judgment, study it, and quite possibly take this to the Supreme Court, because you cannot allow this kind of judgment to remain on the law books. That a court of law is citing unverified allegations, is citing public sentiments, is citing unverified customs and customary values of a very diverse society. I think that that is disappointing. But nonetheless, we'll take this challenge to the Supreme Court and see what...
Olunaku olwaleero tufunye essanyu, tubadde mu kkooti, emitima gibadde gikankana kuba baatugamba nti akazito akali ku ggwanga okuba lwe twayisa etteeka lino kazito nnyo. World Bank tejattuwa looni. Abazungu bajjawo visa. Banyigiriza speaker, banyigiriza president, banyigiriza minister, banyigiriza abalamuzi. Bw'otayimba luyimba lwabwe lwa bisiyaga bakunyigiriza. Naye banaye twebaza abalamuzi baffe, Constitutional Court bakoze omulimu gw'amaanyi ne batereeza amateeka ne bagamba nti etteeka lino liyimirire. Era singa obadde obala nti ebadde ekizampu bagiwadde 95 Parliament kyeyakola kituufu, bino babadde bajja no bana abasiyazi ababadde mu kkooti obalabi balooya ababasiyazi badde sente eri mu Kampala ogimanyi sente mpitirivu nnyo. By the way, ffe nandibadde njagala kukubira essimu mutabani wange Alien Skin tukoleyo kapate tuddugaze ku mmeeza okusanyuka kiki ekibaddewo. Era ne President Museveni tumwebaza, aba speaker waffe tumwebaza, bamemba ba parliament, tusaba ne baganda baffe, tusaba Bobi Wine vaayo eyo. Ojjukira Bobi Wine bamumma visa era n'agenda n'abeegayirira era ndani jo bwe bamubuuza ku tteeka Bobi Wine tandika okwogera oluddica. Bobi man vaayo boy jangu otwegatte kwandibadde ondi wano ng'oyimba akayimba tubiganye siyaga tubiganye alogaloge tubiganye Sodoma tumuganye aloga kikiseera bannabyabufuzi bonna baveyo.
Langa, and I'm one of the people who has stood to defend the law and also to ensure that our families are thriving, because family is a foundational institution in society. There's no way that homosexuality and families can live side by side. It is impossible. Either families thrive and homosexuality falls, or homosexuality rises and families fall down. So since we are a pro-family nation, we are a pro-life nation, we cannot involve ourselves or welcome something like this which is destructive to the individual, destructive to society, destructive to life. So we are really happy with the court system. Thank you very much. I'm happy today with the ruling of the court in principle regarding the anti-homosexuality case or petition which was brought, where the petitioners wanted to strike out or to strike down the Anti-Homosexuality Act or law. So in principle, today the justices have retained or maintained the law, and secondly, they have also said that there should be no injunction, or they will not welcome any injunction to stay or to hold on to it while the matter is still being handled in other fora. That was decided, and so we are really happy about that. Because as far as we are concerned, homosexuality destroys individuals, homosexuality destroys families, homosexuality destroys society. This is something that actually destroys civilizations, and we can see from history, there's no civilization that has survived homosexuality. So because of that, we don't want to follow those countries that have decided to do it. We cannot go and be led to the ditch when we are watching. So because of that, we are really happy about that. There was a small section about health and also about privacy and renting homes and so on, where the court said that, okay, maybe they should be allowed to do that. But well, we are going to look at it. We are going to study. Our lawyers are going to look at it, and we are going to give our response to that. If we need to go to the Supreme Court, we are going to go to it, so that we defend our families, we defend our children, we defend our nation. The time has come when Africa needs to stand on her own feet and chart out her own course and destiny. We cannot be colonized again sexually or colonized again culturally. We refuse that. It's time for Africa to now take our own course in our hands, our future in our hands, and this is it. We are moving forward as Ugandans.
I was disappointed I didn't have a chance. I was disappointed because many people are talking about World Bank, that we can't afford the law, that they are not going to give us money. But the truth is, we can't afford LGBTQ. And to me, it was a perfect moment in court to interrogate Pepe Onzima. How much did she spend on getting a sex surgery? The average sex surgery is about $25,000. Now, if only 1% of Uganda's young people take gay identity, LGBT theory, and they take sex surgery, that's $25,000 times 500,000 people. Uganda can't afford those billions. Not only that, they must have a lifetime of hormones, they must have a lifetime of gels, they must have a lifetime of steroids. This is big pharmaceutical, hooking our children to this. The second thing we can't afford is HIV/AIDS. The new HIV/AIDS law means that Ugandans are the ones who are supposed to pay for treating people with HIV. Me, my brother Steve. Now, if more people get HIV, that means the taxpayers are mandated to pay. And many of you know we are struggling to raise taxes. We are told that people who practice homosexuality are 10 times more likely to get and spread HIV. This is a study all over sub-Saharan Africa. 2009, the Lancet magazine published those papers even up to today. Any group that is 10 times, that's 100% more likely to have and spread HIV. The average cost of treating someone with HIV in America is $50,000 per person. 50. If only 10% of Ugandans get HIV as a result of this, we are going to be bankrupted. So the judgment today was protecting not only our culture, but protecting Uganda from sliding into economic bankruptcy, spending malaria money in buying sodomy girls. We can't spend money of helping women to give birth in sex changes. So I really missed my day in court because I wanted to ask Pepe. I wanted to ask Andrew Mwenda. Andrew Mwenda, in what capacity do you defend homosexuals? Are you yourself a homosexual? How do you speak for them? Because we have seen many people come here, including Andrew Mwenda, crying, oh, you can't do this, you can't. But Andrew Mwenda, in what capacity do you speak for homosexuals? Are you yourself a homo? Or you are not? Are you paid to be? So I didn't get that chance to ask Andrew Mwenda. Badde ntambula ate kakati munkyusa